Hello, everyone, and welcome to Agile Tech. Agile Tech. Okay, yeah, it's been a while, and today we'll be looking at something very, very interesting. It's something that is relevant to IGCSE students, to bankers, finance department. This is really, really very, very helpful. And so we're looking at the Excel Lookup function. It is a function in spreadsheet. Okay, whether you're using Google Sheets, although we have it as import for Google Sheet import range, but in Excel we see it as the lookup function. Okay, so we'll be diving right to it. Okay, so but before we do that, really, before we do that, there's something I want to introduce you to, just in case you've not heard about it. It's called Agile Tech, and trust me when I say Agile Tech, this is probably the most amazing channel there is on YouTube. I'm not saying it because I'm the founder of it. I'm saying it because literally there's something for everybody. There's something for everybody. So please do want to subscribe to this wonderful, amazing educational channel, both for students, for tech, people, for bankers, finance, anything that has to do with databases, money. You really want to just give this a subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button for more amazing videos. And if you're a computer user, you want to know how to use your laptop, you just want to know how to navigate, whether you're using a Windows or Macintosh, this channel is loaded, like it's a giveaway. So do well to subscribe to it. Okay, I'm done. Okay, let's get back to work. All right, so the first thing we'll be looking at in the Excel lookup is the Vlookup. Now the Vlookup simply means vertical lookup. So this is what it does. It goes from the left to right. Okay, it moves from the left to the right margin. That's what the vertical lookup. Vlookup simply means the vertical lookup. So we have quite a question for us. We're to find the commission for the salesperson. So how do we go about doing it? Now this is the table array that we've been presented with, and this is the commission. We have the salesperson, but now we can just look at it from this way, the salesperson, the commission, and then we can just type it in. But then again, what happens if the salesperson was changed to maybe somebody else? How do we get the commission? It's always very cheap just to get the salesperson, look for the commission, but with the VLOOKUP, it's really quite easy to just navigate around. So how do we do this? Now, like I said, the VLOOKUP works, it moves from the left to the right. So how do we get this done? Now, this is the formula for it. We'll click on the cell, which is an intersection of your column and your row. Your column is noted with an alphabet, and your row is noted with a number. Okay, so I'm going to hit on equals to VLOOKUP. Okay, yeah. And it looks for a value in the leftmost column of a table and then returns a value. That's what it does, right? It returns a value for it. So I'm going to click here, VLOOKUP. Now, the next thing that poses is the lookup value. Now, the lookup value talks about what are you looking at? What is the value you want to return? Now, my lookup value is going to be obviously the salesperson, because it's going to look for the salesperson and then going to return the corresponding value for that lookup value. So I have the salesperson here, okay, which is this particular column. So it means the values can be changed, okay, but it sees that particular lookup value that you're returning from the table array. And I'm going to type comma, hit on comma on my keyboard. Now the next thing, it moves to what? The table array. Now in the table array, the table talks about the table. What are you looking up in the whole table? Okay, so to do this, I'm going to select the whole table. Now you are selecting the values in the table, excluding the heading. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to click on the first column in the first row, hold my shift and control, and then arrow right to select it all, to select the first row, and then hold my shift and control on my keyboard and then arrow down to select all. Okay, now that is one way to do it. Or you could actually do it the old-fashioned way, which is to what? Select everything like this and go down and select it all. So whichever one that feels comfortable for you, that is good to go. Now that is the table array, and then I'm going to hit on the comma, and it moves to the next one. It is important to follow the structure of this function. That is how you get your result. The next one is the column index number. Now the column index talks about where in the column is the commission. Okay, so I have the first column, okay, of the table, the first column, second column, third column, fourth column, and the commission is in what? The fifth column. Remember, for VLOOKUP, it moves from left to what? To right. So it was in the fifth column. So I'm going to type in what? 5. And then comma. And now at this point, you're looking for what? An exact match. Okay, you are looking for what? An exact match. An exact match simply means that it's going to return the exact value of what? The salesperson. Okay, of the salesperson. It's going to return the exact value of the salesperson. An approximate match may round it up, but I want an exact match. It simply means that if I'm going to look for David, I should get the corresponding commission, the value for the commission for the salesperson called David. Okay, so I'm going to what? Click on what? Exact match, and then I'm going to close because we don't want the range lookup. So I'm okay with this, and I'm going to close. Right, close the parenthesis, and I'll hit on enter. Now at this point, I can see that Hlookup has what? 1,230 what? 9 what? Naira. How about if I change it to probably Jordan? Let's see, for Jordan Bone. Now what will happen? For Jordan Bone has what? 418 what? 89 what? Naira. So it shows you that it works. So the VLOOKUP moves from what? The left to the right. Hope you got that. The next one is the Hlookup. Now the Hlookup, now for vertical lookup, it works vertically. But for the Hlookup, it works what? Horizontally. Another way to know the difference is for the VLOOKUP, the headings are what? At the top. Okay, and the records at the bottom. But for the Hlookup, the headings are what? On the left, and the records are what? On the right. So this is the structure for the what? The Hlookup. So let's say, for example, let's go back to Halifax. Okay, I want you guys to see this. So we have this. Now let's use Hlookup to see if we can get the same thing for the VLOOKUP. Now to do this, we're going to start with equals to Hlookup. Remember I said Hlookup means what? Horizontal what? Lookup. So it looks for the value in the top row of the table or array of values and return the value in the same column from a row, okay, you specify. So I'm going to click on the Hlookup. What is my lookup value? Is going to be Hali, comma. My table array is still going to be the same thing. I'm going to click here, Shift Control to select everything, and then of course I did arrow down, then Shift Control arrow right to select everything. Or if that is still you're struggling with that and you want to still go the old-fashioned way, you could just do this and then select everything here. But trust me, the keyboard shortcut works better because you could have so many long values, and of course you don't want to miss anything. And then I'm going to click on, I'm going to type comma, and the next thing I have is the row index number. Still has the same thing as the vertical lookup. Now for the Hlookup, this is how it works. So now for the row index number, it's still the same thing as the what? The vertical lookup. We're going to count the column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we hit on 5, comma, and at this point we want the exact match. We want the exact match. We don't want the approximate match. We don't want it to be rounded up. We want exactly the same value. So we're going to hit on what? Exact match. And then we're going to close the parenthesis, and then we're going to hit on enter. Now at this point, let's check. Is it the same thing? Yes, it is. So the VLOOKUP, the Xlookup, usually the popular one is the VLOOKUP. But for the Xlookup, you could have questions or you could have set of data that is horizontal in this nature. It's still the same structure. You have your Xlookup, and then you have the lookup value, you have the table array, you have your column index number, and you have the exact match. Okay, are we having fun of this? Okay, now finally, the new one that has been introduced for the IGCSE and what is trendy right now is the Xlookup, which is the extended lookup. Now, this is where it gets so exciting, because for the Xlookup, it is not like the VLOOKUP that goes from the left to the right. Xlookup can just work anyway, anyhow you want to flex it. Okay, now let's look at this. Now I've been able to change the data where before, if you check here, the salesperson was here, the commission was here. But now we have the salesperson here, the commission here. Now this is where it gets a little tricky for VLOOKUP and why VLOOKUP cannot work in this scenario. And I'm going to show you why. Because here we have the salesperson here. And remember, VLOOKUP works from the left to the right. Okay? But in this case, the salesperson is at the right. And commission is second to the right. So with what you have learned, let's try implementing it here if it's going to work. So I have equals to VLOOKUP. Okay, lookup value is going to be this, right? The salesperson will looking up the value, and which is right here. We want the commission for this. So comma table array. Obviously, we're going to select this. You click here, Shift Control, then your arrow right, Shift Control arrow down. Okay, then comma column index. Now this is where it gets very interesting, because now normally the column index is going to be left to right, and now the commission is what? So we have 1 2 3 4. Okay, so we have 4 here, comma, and then we have what? Exact match. Now let's see if it's going to work. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work. And probably you would say, okay, since this is going to be 1 2 3 4, and the salesperson, the first one, maybe you want to do -1. It still doesn't work. Okay, it still doesn't work. This is where the Xlookup comes very handy, because for the Xlookup, this is what you have, equals to Xlookup. Now this is what the Xlookup does. I'm going to do something here, maybe type Xlookup here, and I want to read this for you. It searches a range on array for a match. That's what it does. And it returns the corresponding item from a second range or an array. By default, an exact match is what you use. And the Xlookup has what? Different layers. Okay, it has what? Different layers. So let's do that. Equals to Xlookup. Okay, Xlookup, and I have what? My lookup value is going to be this, comma, the lookup array. Remember, this is not like the VLOOKUP, so my lookup array is going to be the salesperson. Okay, so Shift Control down, comma, return array. My return array is going to be what? The commission. Shift Control down. And at this point, I'm going to do what? Close it. Right? Close the parenthesis and hit on what? Enter. That's simple. And if you check here, you see that it's giving us what? The same value. How easy is this? I introduced that to my students in 11 and just rounded up the IGCSE, and they embraced it. They were like, Xlookup for life. Okay, they're like Xlookup for life. Okay, so it is really easy using the Xlookup, because the idea of the VLOOKUP, this, and guess what? It works with it using the Hlookup. It's an in between the Hlookup and of course the VLOOKUP. Okay, so you have the lookup value, you have lookup value, you have the lookup range, and then you have the what? You lookup array, then you have what? The return array. Okay, so that is one first layer of the Xlookup. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. All right, now the next one is the Xlookup 2, which is the second lookup. Now we tried that with VLOOKUP. It did not work, and Now, what is the second Xlookup? Still the same thing. Probably this is what I want to show you for the second lookup. Now watch. How about this? We have equals to Xlookup. The lookup value is going to be what? Okay, now we understand why this is it, because we are looking up what the salesperson called Halifax, comma, the lookup array, we have this here, shift control down, and comma, return array. You could use here the active cell or what the formula bar, whichever one, it works the same. Obviously, when you have two set of workbooks, if you're going to use a VLOOKUP, the two workbooks have to be open in the background. That's for VLOOKUP. Okay, if we're using any lookup, the two workbooks have to be what? Open, to be able to look up an external workbook. Okay, so we have this. The return array is going to be this. So shift control down. Now this is what I want you to use to. Instead of it showing the NA, okay, like we saw here, NA. How about, okay, no, I don't want this. How about I want it to display an error message that I want. For example, it doesn't have the salesperson. Instead of showing NA, I can choose to say no record found. How cool is that for the Xlookup? How cool is it? So the next one is, if not found, display an error message. What is the error message? Error message is going to be no record of the salesperson, or no salesperson. Let's make it short. No salesperson. Okay, and then I can close this and hit on what? Enter. Now I want to show you something. So let's say, for example, I have, okay, I know most of you have guessed it already, Agile Tech as a salesperson. Okay, now watch this. See, no salesperson. Okay, now this is because I've been able to customize this to what I want. Now take for instance, imagine I didn't put this. Let me just take this off and cut it. Okay, so probably okay, let me cut it. It's going to show NA. See that? Because NA means that not applicable. But I don't want this error message, really. Or how about if there is no salesperson, it shows empty. Now this is what I would do. I can do this, no salesperson, or I can just make it empty by not typing anything in. So I will just put what? Double quote, leaving it like this, and hit on what? Enter. And now if I put in any salesperson like Agile ND, it returns what? An empty value. And this simply means that there's a formula for it. So for example, if I'm going to go to my view and I'm going to go to data to get my formulas, yes, formulas, okay, formulas, and then show formulas, this is going to be the formula for it. You can see that this is going to be the formula for it. Okay, so which is actually very, very cool. Now this is going to be the formula for it. Can you see this? There's a formula for it. It shows that it's returning empty because there is a double column and what nothing is typed on it. So it returns what? Empty. Okay, now that's just a heads up just to show you how you can do that to get the formulas and everything. So let's go back. Okay, now this is really, really cool about the Xlookup. I know you're enjoying this already. I know you're loving it already. Now the next tips on the Xlookup I want to show you is the Xlookup, the third layer for the Xlookup, which I want to show you, and it's really, really cool and exciting, and I want you guys to have a clips of this. Is this. How about I want to display the sales amount and of course the commission? How do I go about this? Now to do this, this is what you're going to do. Okay, now this is what you're going to do. I'm going to use my Xlookup. So equals to Xlookup. Lookup value, by now we know what lookup value means. So I'm going to click here, comma, lookup array. Now this is what I'm going to do. My lookup array is going to be this, which is going to be the salesperson. For my lookup array, shift control arrow down, comma, return array. So my return array is going to be what? Sales amount and commission. You're liking this, right? So it's going to be, I'm going to click here, shift control arrow right, shift control what? Arrow down, and just like that, close the parenthesis, and then hit on enter. Automatically, it's going to show you the salesperson, and we can check for it. So this is the amount for the sales that this salesperson have made, and this is the commission, which is very, very cool. Now for VLOOKUP, you might have to do a VLOOKUP for this and a VLOOKUP for this to get them individually. But for the Xlookup, you can just write one formula, select all, and it's going to automatically detect it. I know you're loving Xlookup right now. For IGCSE students, you're like, oh my god, Xlookup for life, okay? And for business people, you're like, my god, this is so enlightening. Okay, now the final layer for the Xlookup. We still have another one, but let's talk about this. Now we have companies and we have the sales amount. Now let's say for this company that we have, okay, for this company that we have, for example, I have Nick, and there is no company like Nick. Now this is for business people, okay? I just say today you might not actually need this, but this is for business people. Now it's Nick Cup, okay? So most of the time in this lookup, you can be able to, okay, if it has, for example, Coca-Cola Corporation or Zara Fashion, right? You can just type in Zara and it automatically detects it. It automatically detects it and then sends what? The sales amount for it. Okay, relax. I know you're like, oh, Mr. Jao, what is happening? Just cool down. Trust me, I got you on this. So this is what you're going to do. Let's break it down. So the first we're going to do is equals to the Xlookup. Okay, don't forget it searches a range for a match and returns the corresponding item from a second word range. Xlookup right here. The lookup value is going to be Nike, or what they call Nike, and this is how it works. Now we have Nike, and this is how it's going to look like. So we have Nike, and we're going to add what? And then in quote, let me probably use here, in quote, we're going to add what? An asterisk. And what the asterisk simply means that whatever follows Nike is the same thing. Okay, whatever follows Nike is going to be what? The same thing. And once you're done with this, you hit on comma on your keyboard, and then the lookup array is going to be what? The company. Right? So you select the first one, shift control arrow down, okay, comma, the return array is going to be the sales amount, which is what? Shift control arrow down, and then close the parenthesis, hit on enter, and we have, okay, we have an NA. So let's see what happens here while we having this error. Oh, sorry, probably there's an error here. So we have comma, and we have let's see this. So we have lookup array, we have the return array. Okay, so right, if not found, I don't want this, and then I want an exact match. Okay, sorry, I want an exact match, because the reason why the first one did not work is because now we are not adding what? Nick to it. We're not adding Nick to it. So we want to know, okay, Nick what? So the first one was, we looked for Nick, it didn't see it, but we have Nick Cup. So do you mean Nick Cup? This is why the exact match is very, very important, because right here I can say yes, I need Nick Cup. Okay, so I want an exact match mode for this, so that when I do this, Okay, so it's going to be comma an exact match. Now an exact match, let's see, exact match. Now it did not work. See that it did not work. Now I want to explain why it did not work. Okay, hold on a minute. I know you're like, Mr. Jairo, relax. I get it, right? I got it. Now the reason why it did not work is because of this. This is a wildcard. Now, for my GC students, I've taught you guys what a wildcard is. Asterisk, including, not including, starting, ending, and most business people, you know this. For database administrator, you know this. So it's a wildcard. So I want this to be what? Not an exact match, but a wildcard, because I'm adding it with something. An exact match simply means that it has to be the same. Nick has to be Nick. So it looked for Nick. When I tried the first one, it did not work. Because it looks for Nick, it didn't see it. And I'm saying an exact match, it did not see it because there is no Nick. But we have what? Hlookup. So what I'm going to do is what? It's a wildcard. Because I want you to add it what? With something. So when I click here and I close this, then we have it. Finally. Oh, I'm like, okay, finally it worked. Okay, so we have this as what? The sales amount. How about if I, let's try Zara. Okay, let's say Zara. See this? Can you see this? You see that it was able to look for what? For Zara. But we have Zara fashion, not Zara. So it was able to go to say, okay, we don't have Zara, but we have what? Zara what? Fashion. So this simply means that what? Is a wildcard. And that means what? The lookup value and what? And asterisk. So this simply means that what? Whatever that what starts with what Zara. Okay, that starts with what? With Zara. So it's going to look for what starts with Zara. Okay, and I've taught this to my IGCSE students about what it means, what starting, right? Starting with something, ending with something. So obviously this is ending, this is starting with what? With Zara. And if I try this, how about I try this? EMEA. See that? It showed what? Error. And that's because it's starting with, not ending with. So to ensure this works, I will have to change the formula for asterisk and the lookup value. Will it work? Let's try this. Let me cut this and try this here. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So this simply means what? Is what? Ending with what? Ending with what? The lookup value. So anything that is ending with what? That particular lookup value is going to display it. And now, I know we have a lot of things here that has what? The ink. So if I try something like this, it's going to look for the first one. It's going to pick the first one only. Okay, and if I have something like limited, it's going to see the XYZ limited. So Xlookup is so amazing. How we can flex it to start with using wildcard and etc. etc. Okay, the next one and the final one for the Xlookup is this. How can we do this? Okay, so now we have salesperson and we have the year. So how can we get this done? Okay, so I'm going to show you how this can be done right now. Okay, trust me, this is going to be really cool and really exciting. So are we ready for this? Okay, now so we have salesperson in the year and we need the commission for that salesperson in that year. So to do that, I'm going to use what? The Xlookup. The lookup value by now we know it. So the lookup value is going to be what? The salesperson. Okay, comma. Now we have the lookup what? Array. So the lookup array is going to be what? The salesperson. And which is going to be obviously this. So shift control out down. because this is commissioned by the salesperson. So this is going to be the salesperson column because it has all the names there. So it's a no-brainer. And then we have the return array. Now for the return array, we have this. The return array, we're going to return. Now this is a little bit tricky because now we have the year. So we have the lookup array, and then we're going to add another Xlookup. Now this is going to be, we're going to add another Xlookup, and the reason why we're adding another Xlookup is because of the year. We have to look up what the salesperson and what the year. So right here, my lookup value is going to be what? Probably is going to be the year, and I'm not seeing this, so this is going to be I. Okay, I can't click on it because of the formula, so it's going to be I3, I think. Yeah, I3. Yeah, comma. Lookup array is going to be what? The year. So shift control R down, comma. Now the return array now is going to be what? The commission, right? Which is for the 2019. So I have this, so I'm going to close this. Okay, and of course obviously I'm going to close this, and I'm going to hit what? Enter. The too few arguments for this function. Let's see. Let's see what happened. Okay, no. Let's see what happened. Oh, okay. I think I know what happened. Okay, so I'm going to add the 2019 from here. I'm going to add the 2019 from here. So I'm going to select, now watch this. I'm going to select, because this is for the year, the lookup value is going to look up. What about if I have 2021? What happens? I know you had that thought too, right? So this is what I'm going to do. Now I have this for the salesperson and for the year. Now I have 2019, but that can be changed, right? What about I want the salesperson in 2021, in 2022? Now this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to have this. I'm going to select this from right here, okay, to right here. I'm going to explain. Now this is what it means. Now for the year, right, I have 2019 was there initially, but I need to look up the column for the year and return the array for the lookup array is going to be from what? 2019 to what? 2022, comma. So we have the lookup value, we have the lookup array. Remember, it's an array. Remember, we talked about it, it's an array. So I'm looking up all the years. Then my return array is going to be what? Everything here. So shift control R right, shift control R down. Close it again, hit on enter. Now let's see, yes, it did. So for 2019 for Halifax, I have this. Now how about if I change it to 2021? See? And how about if I change this to, let's say, Jonah Hingis? See? It worked. So it's really not complicated. Oh, okay. It's no brainer. Take a pause, go back to it, and probably I will do it again. Okay, this is what I did. I hit on control. Okay, you know what? Let me do this. I need a lot of space here, so probably I'm going to create a lot of space because of this. Okay, so equals to Xlookup, right? And then I'm going to look up this, comma, lookup array is going to be this. Hit shift control R down, right, comma. Now I want to look up the year as well, so I'm going to add an Xlookup, Oh boy, I know. So I'm going to add an Xlookup, right? And lookup array is going to be what? Right here, right? Comma. The lookup array is going to be what? Shift control here, right? Because I want to look up the A, comma. And I'm going to return what? The values of the commission, which is going to be shift control everything from here. And then I can close this again, hit on what? Enter. So I have this here, right? That's cool. And finally, so we have the sum filter. Okay, now for the sum filter, I want to be able to get a sum, and this is where the Xlookup is unable to give us what we want, because for the Xlookup is going to give us the same thing we've been doing, equals to Xlookup, and then the salesperson, comma, the lookup array is going to be here, and with doing this, comma, we add another Xlookup for the year, right? Another Xlookup for the year, which is going to be I3, comma, and then we select this, comma, and then we select everything here. That's shift. You can hold your shift control R right and R down at the same time. That's what I did. Close, and then let's see what's wrong. Oh, sorry, I was meant to select 4 for this. So we have this, but the problem is Halifax is more than 1, so it's going to pick the first one, and I need to know the total values for this, and this is where it probably doesn't give us what we want, and that's why the sum and filter is really important. So this is how it's going to be for the sum. Now this is for business people, strictly for business people, so I'm just going to create a lot of space here for this. Now to do this, I'm going to use what we call a filter. So it's going to be equals to filter. Okay, now in the filter, I'm going to have what? An array, right? And the array is going to be from the C4 right here to probably everything from there. Okay, so I'm going to have this. Okay, comma, and then it's going to include right here, so the array, and then including this right here, and this is going to be equals to what? Equals to what? The salesperson. Okay, so I have this. Okay, so now you can see that it's showing a lot of values for 2021. Okay, for Halifax it's showing a lot of values, including others. So this is what I'm going to do right here. So I'm going to add what? Another filter. Now in this filter I'm going to add so we have this. So we have what? This. Now this is what we're going to have, which is going to be what? For this. So now we want to add the year, because now it's now showing us all 2019 to 2022. So I want to add the year, so I'm going to click this, shift control right here, and then I'm going to filter this. So at the end of the day, I just have for what? For 2020 what? 2021. but it's not going to work. This is why it's not going to work, guys. It's because I need to put it equals to what? Equals to what? This. So this is going to be equals to the year right here. And now when I do this, now I'm not getting the year for what? 2020 what? 21. But now we have done all this, okay? But it's still not giving us the total. So if I change this to, let's say, 2020 is going to give us this. But we want to have the sum. Now, for us to be able to get the sum, this is what we have to do. For us to be able to get the sum, this is what we're going to do. We're going to add the sum to this. Now, to do this, simple. What we're going to do now, here, the last one, which is probably what everybody likes, we're going to add the sum function to it, right? And then we're going to sum everything. So by adding the sum function to this, it's going to give us the total. And if I try 2021, it's going to give us the total of Halifax. And if I try Stephen, Michael, it's still going to give us the total for this. I know it's a lot, but when you watch this video over and over and over again, it's going to make sense. This is strictly for business people, finance, and not for IGCSE students. But you need to do it when you have a lot of set of data and you want to filter them and get the sum. Hope this makes sense. And please don't forget to subscribe to what? To Agile Tech. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.